Hello, Ramana.
Yeah, hello. Yes,
Yeah,
Abdul.
we can get started if Madam Dr. Sikha Fajam and
Yeah, yeah.
Dr.
कोई कर
Bibi
ले.
Alamiri all are here, and
Sure,
Dr.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, okay.
Good evening and welcome to this webinar on well-being of parents and children during COVID-19 pandemic. This is Safdar Ali Khan, Secretary, American Society of Kuwait chapter. Welcome you for this wonderful webinar. As for program agenda today, we have very eminent speaker, Dr. Bibi Al-Amiri, and we will be hearing a lot from her. So the agenda goes like HSC moment by Noor Al-Sadi and the welcome address, which I have already started. I will go quickly with the brief of chapter activity, those who are new to SSP activity, followed by WISE activity, which will be briefed by Janet Nazare, and then a speaker introduction by Dr. Saika Al-Fazam, and it will be followed by Dr. Bibi Al-Ameri for her presentation, and then there will be a small quiz, and those who has participated today event will get a certificate of participation, and then felicitation of the speaker, and then vote of thank followed by Madam Jahida remark. And if there is any question and answer, we will take up at a later stage. So all are encouraged to post their question on chat box. See, we all are on Zoom platform. Sometimes the connectivity will be lost. So don't worry, you can log in again and our staff will be admitting you again. So I will invite Madam Noor Al-Sadi for HSC moment, Engineer Noor Al-Sadi, HSC Environmental Engineer, Slumberger. Hello.
Hello, hi everyone. So just to make sure you can hear me?
Yes, very clear.
Okay, very well. So I'm using this laptop for the first time, so hopefully it will work out properly.
Oh, you're right. Okay, we understand that. There may be something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there'll be some
Yeah,
mishaps, but one second. If
try
you can
it.
give me a second to share my slides, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so can just com check. Can you hear me?
Yes, dear.
Okay, thank you. So good evening, everyone. I'm so glad to be here again and giving you the HSE moment. And I hope everybody have a safe Ramadan coming up, or Barak alaikum shahr for coming up with Ramadan. And because Ramadan is on the way and summer is right around the corner, I want to talk about a topic that all of us, including our mothers, our family, our children, and basically us ourselves could be prone to, which is fatigue. So fatigue has always been a big issue, especially this year with regards to COVID-19. So I want to briefly talk about it, if you don't mind. So remember, guys, you always have to be tentative to the people that surround you, as in, though your colleagues, your family, you have to remember and encourage your team, especially in their time off, right? And understand the resources. So when I'm talking about resources, let's go back to WHO organization, right? World Health Organization. So COVID-19 fatigue is a natural response, right? We definitely know the demotivation to recommend preventive behaviors. So what are we talking about? We want to know what fatigue looks like, okay, if we're talking about the people around us. You'll notice that the decision making decreases. They can't make decisions properly on the spot. Their planning also, it becomes erupted. Their skills are less. Productivity is going to be so much lower. And performance, situation awareness, attention, the reaction times, and memory. So if you notice any of these things, so know that the person in front of you is probably fatigued and is probably needs to be rested. So what will happen? You have to increase, definitely when people are fatigued, they have an increase in what? Increase in their risk taking. They're risking not knowing if they're doing the right decision or wrong. They're always forgetful. They have mistakes. And of course, stress. We can't even start. Stress is another huge topic. But this also relates to back to sick days and accidents, which we're trying to prevent. As everybody in HSE would know, this is the things that we don't want. So control measures. Let's talk about how do we battle fatigue, right? Very easy, especially when it comes to COVID. Remember always to wash your hands. Of course, if you're definitely sick, to stay at home. Remember that, guys, to eat healthy. Remember to eat your sources. And of course, keeping hydrated, 8 to 10 glasses of water from iftar to suhoor, right? So do not take energy drinks. Try to basically remove that from your lifestyle. And also limited driving hours in the day. Take breaks. And of course, if you can do solo driving, don't do that. Try to reduce that as much as possible. And of course, working under the sun. God knows Kuwait, especially in the heat in the summer. We're going to our 40s soon, then it will hit probably 50s. God bless you guys for working, and me too. So definitely no direct exposure to the sun, okay? From 12 to 3:30 p.m. And if you're tired, always stop and speak to your advisor. So this is just a quick recap of the things that you have to watch out when you are fatigued. Thank you guys, and that's my safety moment.
Thank you, Noor Al-Sadi. That was a wonderful safety moment for fatigue. And I'm pretty sure all the participants has taken a takeaway message and they will be implementing in their oncoming Ramadan time and during summer. I will take you to a brief introduction to the chapter activity, what we usually do, those who are new to this. So these are glimpses of the recent activity we have done it, like webinar on COVID-19 vaccination in workplace, and speaker Dr. Janvier Gassana on 16th of January. And 78 members participated on that. There is another training program on applied industrial hygiene for HSE professional by Utpal Bhauser, CSP-CIH. Those who are looking for enhancing their career, that was a wonderful session. And for the benefits of all participants, this program is on YouTube Live. Those who miss this opportunity or they have joined it late, they can watch it on their off time as well. Just simply type ASSP-KC and you will get it. Like those who are looking for enhancing their expertise on process safety management. Usually we are meeting of 3rd of Wednesday each month, and these are some of the glimpses the last time we have held it, like on 25th January, there is a technical meet number 7. This is another program for BOHS a training model like 501, measurement of hazardous substance by Utpal Bhauser, where 10 members has got benefited. This is 12 days program. And this is another process safety management forum technical meet 8, where the speaker, Madam Nalicia Stevenson and Mr. Bharat Thakkar has given presentation on 17th February. This was another webinar on Know Your Mobile Elevating Work Platforms. from Jason Wood, who is a regional manager of IPAF. It was also a very excellent session where 96 members participated, and they have known the limitation of mobile elevated platform. This is a recent process safety management forum technical meet 9 by Sanjay Jaswal. You can see his credentials, CSP, CIH, CIH, SMS, and Mr. Devin Rathore, another gentleman, given a presentation. Usually on that particular Wednesday, 3rd of Wednesday, we are encouraging 2 participants. One is experienced and one for newcomer who wanted to hone their skill in presentation. So anyone can who wish to see or just try to give a lecture, they can try, they are welcome. This was a webinar on 23rd. Fire incidents at ONGC Hajira facility in 2020. It was commemorating BP Texas Refinery Day. So speaker was Mr. Ujwal Ritvik, our old mentors, CIH and QEP, and Mr. Kanu Gohel. You can see how many people have participated there. Now I will invite Madam Janet Nazare, Deputy Vice Committee, for introduction or brief on the VICE event. Madam Janet Nazare.
Good evening.
Good evening, dear.
A very warm evening to all the presentees for this today's program for parents, well-being of parents and children during COVID-19 pandemic. Myself, Janet, the Deputy Head of VICE Committee, briefing you on VICE Committee and its events. Women in Safety Excellence is what called as VICE. It is a common interest group that develops ASSP members and the safety professionals through education, mentorship, networking, collaboration, research, and innovation. At VICE, we connect experience and rising experts from within the women community to invest in the future of women in the safety profession. Many women have made great contribution to the safe profession in Kuwait, and we want to ensure that there is a place for more female-led initiatives in the future. Now we will look at the VICE activities that we have conducted recently. So previous VICE events at glance. So here is a technical meet on risk and mental well-being. We had conducted on 24th of September 2020. Around 65 members attended this program, and it was the speaker was Dr. Al-Anaud Al-Atiq. Then there is another program and webinar on awareness on breast cancer by Dr. Anwar Al-Najjar on 31st of October 2020. There were around 62 participants. Then there was a webinar on working online, how about ergonomics by Ms. Anwar Ali on 28th of November with 78 members who participated in this program. And we had a webinar on COVID-19 vaccine in the workplace by Dr. Janvir. We already heard about this by Mr. Sabdar before. So there were around 78 members who participated in this webinar. Then once again, I would like to welcome our speaker, Dr. Bibi Alamari, who will be sharing today's topic on well-being of parents and children during COVID-19 pandemic. As parents, we want to do everything we can do to protect our children. The coronavirus disease, COVID-19 pandemic has brought with it new challenges for our families across the globe. I am sure Dr. Bibi will navigate us through this health crisis by providing us with accurate and reliable information on the best ways to keep our families safe. Thanks, Dr. Bibi. And I would like to appreciate Vice Committee Head, Dr. Sheikha Al-Fajam, for her leadership and her extraordinary commitment in arranging the Vice activities. And also I would like to thank my dear colleague, Ms. Zahida, for her kind support and cooperation in managing all the Vice events. Thanks to ASSP Chairman Fahad Ali, President Jahid Thakur, Mr. Sabdar Ali, Advisory and EC Committee, Rishi and Ramana for the support. Thank you very much from Vice Committee. Now I will over to Dr. Shekha for the speaker introduction. Dr. Shekha?
Yes,
There?
yes, good evening, everyone. We are really honored today to have Dr. Bibi Al-Amiri as Janet said, to guide us on how to deal with our kids in these difficult times with corona epidemic. Dr. Bibi Al-Amiri completed her general psychiatry and subspecialty training in child and adolescent psychiatry at Harvard Medical School affiliated hospitals and McLean Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Residence Program. Dr. Al-Amiri also successfully accomplished the fellowship in psychoanalytic psychotherapy from the Boston Psychoanalytic Society and Institute. She holds memberships at several professional societies, including the American Psychiatric Association and the American Academy for Child and Adolescent Psychiatry. She successfully established and designed Al-Manara in 2012, the only dedicated center for child and adolescent mental health in Kuwait. Al-Manara offers comprehensive management plans for all children, adolescents, and their families with different psychiatric conditions. I really welcome Dr. Bibi Al-Amiri, and thanks for giving us, I know that you're so busy person, and thank you for spending time to share with us your knowledge about how to deal with the kids in this difficult time. Dr. Bibi. Hello?
Hello.
Yes.
1 second. I'm sorry, I expected you a bit later, but I'm going to be with you in a second.
Okay.
Yeah, so where's Tiki? Okay, got it. So, can you see me right now? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So shall I admit because I'm not? Okay. Is that good?
Yes.
So first of all, thank you so much, Sheikha, for inviting me. I'm honored myself to be part of this group that obviously have done a lot of successful events and held a lot of events to increase awareness and educate people about the situation that's going on that has been unique for all of us. When Sheikha asked me to do this, honestly, I thought that it would be much more helpful if we run a discussion where people actually have questions, and then I can answer these specific questions. So I don't know if Sheikha, you have something, an opening question for me, but let me tell you something about what is different about Corona than everything else. The pandemic is definitely something completely new to all of us. So everyone in his field is really trying hard to figure out what are the best ways to deal with that new situation. In medicine, in psychiatry, in mental health, at the workplace, and education. Everybody is trying his best to try to overcome the negative impact that this pandemic has left us with. The pandemic did not affect only children and adolescents, it did affect everybody, all the age groups. But definitely children and adolescents have been the most impacted by that pandemic. Unfortunately, the pandemic has targeted the vulnerable people, which basically children, adolescent, women, and those with low socioeconomic classes, or anybody with social disadvantage, or those with biological or environmental vulnerabilities. So it's quite unfortunate that those who need the most help have been the people who suffered the most from the pandemic. That's why I think when we try, if we have limited resources, I think the best way is to try to target these vulnerabilities and focus on these. Because at the end of the day, these are a big percentage of the population, and you want to make sure that you don't mess them, because if they are delayed 1 year, for them to catch up, it takes them 2 to 3 years, or takes them double the time and double the effort to catch up with other with the rest of the population. So it's important always to focus on the vulnerable people. However, when we talk about the pandemic, what was very unique about that situation is that it was unpredictable. What does it mean unpredictable? Is that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what are the studies are going to tell us. And we've seen that it was changing. Every day it was changing. We thought it was 4 months. It turned out to be 6 months. And now people are talking about years and years to come. So the reality is it's unpredictable. And that uncertainty by itself affects our mental health. The human brain cannot function with uncertainties or unpredictabilities. They always want to see, they always want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. That actually helps them to survive and to protect themselves. So anything that is unpredictable creates a lot of stress and anxiety in a human brain and for the human population in general. And that is even more relevant to children and adolescents, because children and adolescents, they don't have the mental capacity to process uncertainty or unpredictabilities, because most of the time their environment is predictable because it's protected by their parents. So that's why for children and adolescents, uncertainty is more unsettling and more stressful than it is for adults. The other thing is the disruption of the routine, and which has been a huge issue for the pandemic. Disruption of routine, especially for children, as you know, that having a routine or having a regular schedule is something that is one of the basic needs of children and adolescents. Children and adolescents thrive on routines. They thrive on regular schedules. And because of the pandemic, school stopped and, everyone was watching the TV, following the news. Parents were off work, working from home. All of this disrupted, and the curfews and so forth, all of these things disrupted the regular routine for the children and adolescents, and basically deprived them of some of their basic needs that they actually thrive on, which is routine and regular schedule or set schedules. The other thing is social integration or social interaction. Again, the way we learn, we don't actually learn, as you know, like if you leave a child or a human being in an environment, and like the jungle, for example, he's going to be imitating the animals, right? Why does he do that? Because he learns by social interaction with his surrounding. So children and adolescents, they learn by interacting with other humans, by interacting with the environments around them. And therefore, increasing the exposure of children and adolescents increases their learning process and supports their brain development. What's happened in Corona is that there was very limited exposure of children and adolescents. I'm not going to be talking because maybe you'll have more questions and I don't want to waste the time, but each age groups, like we talk about from infancy, we're talking about 0 to 2, these actually have certain needs into the social interaction that they were deprived from during the Corona. And then we talk about the preschoolers and how they also were deprived of these social interaction. And then we go to the school-age children, that's 6 to 12. And this, again, they were deprived because schools were closed. And then we talk about the teenagers, and they were prevented from the social interaction as well, that actually enriches their brain development and their learning experience. So unfortunately, it's been having a very negative impact in all of the family members. And of course, the most vulnerable were the children and adolescents. So Dr. Sheikha, if you don't mind, I'm going to open the floor for questions. If anybody has a question. Dr.
Yeah, good evening, Dr. Ma'am Bibi. Actually, we have disabled the chat and we are not unmuting the participants, unfortunately, because of some issues. Okay, now we have enabled the chat now. Okay, whenever we get any questions, we will let you know, please.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got locked out. Meeting. I'm in a meeting, but for some reason, how can I get back to the meeting? I'm sorry about that. I feel, can you guys see me?
No, ma'am. Video is your video is stopped by yourself. Just enable your video, please.
Okay, wait, I'm getting out. Let me join again because something has happened with my setting, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
نعم يما.
Okay. Okay, so then let me go through the things that happen with until you find any questions for the things that happen by age group. So let's talk about the infancy, okay? Those who were born during the pandemic or those who were born around the pandemic. So what happened there is that these children usually are learning the first year of life is the year where there is a rapid growth of the neurons or the nerve cells in the brain. And the first thing that they actually learn is the language. Maybe you don't see it, but actually there is a lot of things that happen during the first year that it's end up by having one word or two words at the end of the first year. And now that exposure to the family members, to the environment is what actually enriches the vocabulary of a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old. And that has been limited during the pandemic. There is some studies, and there's not a lot of studies that came out. It's obviously because even research has been stopped, but there is a lot of concern about the vocabulary and of the children, like the toddlers or the infant, that they're going to have some limited vocabulary or some ability or some difficulties in their developmental milestones because of the limited exposure that happened during the pandemic. To give you an example, when you go out, you point to the sun and you say sun, that by itself a way for the child to learn the word sun. And you have to say it multiple times. So that repeated exposure that happens because you're exposed to these cues are actually what makes you develop these languages. So unfortunately, that has been deprived for the infancy, for the first and the second year, or the toddlers. Now, when we come to the preschoolers, so the preschoolers, other than the language, of course, vocabulary continues to increase, but then their social skills is the most important thing. Social skills meaning how to share, how to interact with other people, how to play, how to differentiate by kids their age and adults, how to collaborate on a game. All of these skills that are actually, that these kids develop, they develop during that age, which is the preschool, which is between 3 to 5 or 3 to 6. And again, these are skills that are usually learned if you don't go to a preschool or to a nursery. It's by the family or by going out or by interacting with the environment, going to the zoo or going to the beach or whatever. All of these things is actually what teaches the child the social skills. And as you know, these social skills in preschoolers have been actually shown to be predictive of success as adults. So these social skills are the ones that we learn as preschoolers. And again, the children have been deprived of it during the pandemic. Then when we go to the school-age children, now what happened is that, of course, schools were shut. And as you know, and now the research is coming, that elementary schools or school-age children, those between 6 and 12, has been the most affected in their educational experiences, because in contrast to high schoolers, or teenagers, they don't, they can focus on the screen and can get their education through online education, although it's not everything, of course, there's no comparison between online and in-person learning. However, elementary schools, they utilize all of their bodies, all of their senses and their environment to learn. And therefore, their educational experience have been very limited in online school because they are not geared, or their brain is not geared to learn in that way. And therefore, of course, their educational experience have been limited. And there is a lot of increase in, and a lot of psychiatric disorders and behavioral problems because of that, especially among the elementary school children. Now, I'm trying to get to the questions, and let me answer the questions. So Sheikha is asking, how would I know if my son is not, okay, so if I'm just gonna try to see the, I'm sorry, I'm trying to see the chat. There you go.
Madam, if I can help you reading this, it will help.
No, now I get it. So
Okay,
the question is, the kids are using computer for video games way too much. What should we do? So this is a very good question, but unfortunately, there is nothing we could do about it. We've done a survey and we found out that the number of hours that teenagers are spending on a computer and a video games is around 8 to 12 hours, which is tremendous. Of course, as you know, the guidelines for kids under the age of 2 is zero screen time. So when talking about TV, we're talking about computers, we're talking about video games, we're talking about all of these electronics. And then when you go above that, so you come with 30 minutes a day. And of course, I can assume that your kids are using more than that. And then when you go to adolescence, so you have to stick to like 2 hours. Now, this is a huge problem, especially now, because they don't have anything else to do. So I do understand that you're going to increase the number of hours that these kids are staying on the internet and in the video games. However, let me tell you some tricks to try to limit the time on a computer. First of all, one of the main things is to set a routine during the day. So if you set a routine when kids have to do certain things at certain times of the day, so just by doing that, you're limiting the use of video games and computer. So for example, if you set the rules that the kids have to wake up at a certain time and they have to eat their breakfast and so forth, and then they have to have their meal time, and this meal time, you're not allowed computer and video games during meal time. Now, you can't come at age 8 and say, you know what, now I'm not going to allow you video games at age 9 or at mealtime, because I've seen a lot of parents for younger kids, because they want them to eat, so they just let them watch something while they're eating. And then they complain that they are using a lot of screen time. So a lot of the screen time control really has to begin as early as possible when the kids are super, super young. And you have to limit that time and let them know that they cannot be eating and watching, or they can't be doing two things at the same time, that you cannot use the video games while you're in a restaurant because you want to distract your child. You don't want to use the video games because you don't want them to bother you, you know? So these are the things that you have to start doing from early on. So if you set certain times when the child have to be sitting with you, like for example, meal time or other things, you know, as I said, things that he has to be doing every day, then you are limiting the screen time. And then you can specify the screen time that kids can only use their screens or computer or video games for that specific time. Now, because of the pandemic, you can say, you know what, I'm going to increase that time from 2 hours to 3 hours. And what you have to do is to divide it throughout the day. So it's not 3 hours continuously. You can actually divide it into 30 minutes each. And that way you're trying to limit the exposure and you try to distract them by doing other things. Now, to be honest, one of the most important thing is to try to give your kids physical activities. So you have to try to occupy their time by doing other things. Now, I understand this is very difficult during the pandemic, but even though, like during the day, there is a lot of activities, like right now, you know, the walking or outside from 6 to 8, or even during the day, if you can do some walking, if you do some certain activities that are open. Now, there are some gymnastics that are open, there are music schools that are open, all of these things, and there are some art studios that are open. So the more you occupy your kids by doing things, then you limit the time on a screen time. Even if you do a meal together, if you ask them to cook, to wash, to do some chores at home, by that way, you're actually decreasing the time in a computer. So the more you distract them by doing other activities, the less they spend on a screen time. Now, I have another question that says, a routine sleep cycle if a child is reversed, messed up due to the pandemic, how to deal with it? Well, you have, again, to give them that routine. Of course, it's going to be delayed because what's happening, you know, but I don't think it should be reversed. I mean, okay, the child doesn't have, depending on the age. I mean, again, younger kids, they can wake up very early, like at 6 or 7. But teenagers, it's actually better for them to wake up at 9, 8 or 9. So these teenagers are benefiting from the delayed start times. But there is no reason why the children should stay up till 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning. So I think you need to bring back that routine, even if you have to push it. Like now, you don't have to stress about waking up at 5 or 6 in the morning, but there is no reason to be sleeping till noon. So this is where you have to implement the routine where the children have to wake up in a reasonable hour in the morning. The reason why you have to get them back to the sleep cycle, because sleep is not just about the amount of time that they spend sleeping. So if you sleep 8 hours during the day, this is not really sleep, because as you know, our biological or circadian rhythm is regulated by the sunlight. So if you prevent the child from that regulation, it really disrupts the hormone levels in his body, his growth, his brain development. All of these things requires that the child sleeps at night and stay up during the day. So no, there is no reason for the sleep cycle to be messed up. I advise you, and I highly recommend that you go back to setting up a routine when the children are waking up in a reasonable hour. So I'm not saying they have to wake up at 6, they have to wake up at 8, have to wake up at 7:30, and then they have to sleep, you know, 9, 10, but there's no reason for them to stay up till 3. I understand that some parents, their sleep is messed up, and the same thing goes for you too. So you have also to adjust your sleep, because just like your child needs sleep, you too need to be sleeping at night and not sleeping during the day. And then the other question says, is there an increase in mental health problems among kids? And yes, there is. There is little research that has been published so far, and they've noticed an increase in the levels of anxiety and depression among children and adolescents. Again, this is very early research. There is also a concern about the increase in ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, especially that now we've taken away the environmental modification that usually modifies or regulates the behavior of the younger children. Those are 6 and 7, and maybe the research is coming soon after the pandemic goes. I mean, the pandemic is continuing, but obviously people are going back to school, and as they go back to school full time, I think a lot of the data, actual data about the numbers, is going to come up. The question is, we know that the mental health problems have increased among children and adolescents during the pandemic, but are they going to be increasing, or is it something that we're going to be dealing with for a very long time? Is it something that is irreversible? Did we actually did something in our children's brain that will be very difficult to reverse? Of course, that will be like individualized. Every child have his own resilience and his own strength factor. Some children will be able to bounce back, and some children that will have an irreversible damage. And all of this is depending on the individualized characteristic of the child. There is also another question: how could I know that my son is not suffering a mental health from corona pandemic? And there are critical signs that I should know. I mean, what kind of mental health problem? Anxiety, depression, obsessive compulsive disorder. These are the disorders that we've been noticed that has been increasing lately. Anxiety, of course, as I said, anxiety is always about the unknown and the unpredictable, and corona has been a lot of unknowns and unpredictable and loss of control. And of course, there is a lot of feelings of loss of control. When you can't control, you know, where do you go at night? Of course, the curfew is one of these things that restricts your movement, and that makes you feel that you don't have control. You can't leave, you can't travel, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. All of these loss of control and unknowns increases the anxiety. So anxiety, the way you feel it is in children, for younger kids, it might actually show as somatic symptoms. So they will present with tummy aches, headaches, sleep disturbances, sometimes irritability and anger, change in appetite and so forth. Any changes in your child that you feel this is not typical of my child, this is something you definitely have to reach out for a professional. If you feel any decline in academics, like if you feel your child lost the motivation, he doesn't want to work anymore, his grades have declined dramatically, I think this is the time when you want to reach out to a professional and ask him whether there are critical signs or there are some signs of psychiatric illness. And of course, early intervention is always very helpful. Now, depression is also the same for children. It's more irritability, anger, and when you go to the teenagers, it's more anger and sometimes self-injurious behavior or suicidal thoughts or death wishes. And of course, when these happen, you definitely have to reach out for a professional. When it comes to obsessive compulsive disorder, so these are the disorders when you have a lot of time spent in washing, cleaning, obsession with germs. He doesn't want to leave the house because he's worried about catching the disease. So any excessive worriness about the germs or excessive cleanliness, this could be an indication of obsessive compulsive disorder. Now, the tricky thing about psychiatric disorder in children that it is not full-blown like you see it in adults. So it develops slowly. And so you may not have the full features, and it may be such a subtle change in your child. And I'm always recommending that whenever there is a subtle change, that you always have to reach out for a professional. We talked about how to screen the usage, the screen time. As of now, many children has very limited education. It will affect the future study, how to come up with that. Yes, of course, we don't know how is this going to affect their education. We know there is something now called the COVID slide. The COVID slide have been measured in a Western country. I think there are studies from the US which said that there is a COVID slide, which is a decline in academic performance, specifically in math. So I'm sure the one in Kuwait is much larger than the one we have, than the ones we have in the US, because their schools, they went back hybrid, but we didn't. So of course, there will be an effect of education. And as I said, some children will bounce back and some children will not be able. And it all depends in your individualized characteristic. Kids with vulnerabilities, whether it's biological or environmental, will have much harder time to bounce back once education goes back to its regular routine. Now, there is a question, can we send 10-year-olds to private tuition where 10 are attending? I cannot answer that question. 10 or 12 kids are attending. I cannot answer that question. It's not for me. I think this is something for you to assess or to ask somebody who would tell you what would be the risk of infection. Unfortunately, this is not my area of expertise. The next question is about to get the vitamin D requirement. Again, this is not my area of expertise, so I'm not going to respond to it. How can people reach for help? Of course, you can go to any primary care clinic. If you feel that there is a need, if you feel there is an emergency, you can go to any emergency room, or you can go to the emergency room in Al Manara, which is the in Kuwait Center for Mental Health, or you can go to any polyclinic and they will give you a referral, or you can come directly to Al Manara. You don't even need a referral. So Al Manara is the Kuwait Center for Mental Health, and you can just come directly, and we have a working emergency room during the working hours of the day, and in the afternoon, after hours, there is also an emergency room in Kuwait Center for Mental Health. But if there is no emergency, you can just come during working hours and take an appointment, and you can see a physician and see if there is any critical signs or any signs of psychiatric illness or anything you can do to help your children during that time. So that's important, that you actually know who to go to seek help. So as I said, you can go to any polyclinic. or you can go to any emergency room, or you can just go directly to Al Manara during working hours, which is located in Kuwait Center for Mental Health, and we will immediately schedule you an appointment. If it's urgent, you will see a doctor at the spot who's going to make initial recommendation until you get your appointment. Now, if you want to find where is Al Manara, you just put it in Google. So it's called Al Manara Kuwait. So if you put in Google Al Manara Kuwait, you will immediately find the directions or the address to the place. Sheikh, I don't know if we have any other questions.
Well, I can't see in the chat any questions, so I don't know.
Madam, there was a question by Janet Najare. Due to staying indoors, the sunlight reaching through the window, is it sufficient to get vitamin D requirement?
Yeah, and I'm a psychiatrist, so I really cannot make any recommendation about vitamin D exposure and vitamin D intake and whether it's sufficient to have it. That's unfortunately not my area of expertise, so I cannot answer that question. I think an endocrinologist or another, somebody who has more expertise in vitamin D would be a better person to answer that question. But unfortunately, it's not my area of expertise.
Thank you, doctor, for a wonderful explanation for these questions. As we go along through the webinar presentation, there may be some question will be coming up. So
Okay.
you can continue with the rest of the presentation. Alhamdulillah, okay. It's very engaging and deep-rooted meanings are there.
Okay, so please, you can stop me if there is a question.
Right.
Okay. Just to talk about what to do. I mean, obviously, we are very limited of what we can do right now because, as I said, a lot of the things that has happened is out of our control, right? So we can't control the pandemic. We can't control going back to school. We can't control, the curfew and so forth. There's a lot of things that are out of control, and that leaves us with a feeling of frustration. So what we can do at home is, as I said, is try to reverse the negative impact that the pandemic happened. And we talked about the routine. The routine is crucially important for getting the kids back into the mental health space that they should be back into. And even if you can't find the routine because of the school closure and the online and so forth, you can create your own routine at home. And what I mean by that is try to engage the kids in activities when it's actually scheduled. So that way they feel that their day is routine. And guess what? You're actually tricking the brain into thinking that they have control. Because control means that I know what's going to happen after an hour. For example, if because of the pandemic, now you're eating dinner at any time, that doesn't give you the routine that will help your children's mental health. So what you need to do is to set the meals time to its regular times. So go back to eating lunch at a certain time, breakfast at a certain time, and dinner at a certain time. Go back to setting bath at a certain day. So make sure that they are taking a bath, for example, if not daily, or for example, 3 times a week, but you specify the dates. Let's say that they have to do some sort of activity between 6 and 8, that they have to go for a walk between 6 and 8, that they have to do some chores at 5 o'clock, that they have to do some specific stuff at that certain time. And that way you're building the routine into their day. And when you build the routine, then definitely the children will feel as if they gain control, which is, of course, it's out of their control, but for some reason, their brain processes this as if they have control over their day. So my recommendation is to go back to setting a routine in your home, a routine at home, so you actually can trick their brain into into the idea that they have more control over their day than they actually do. Now, the other thing, I'm sorry, I just have a question. What is your opinion about 10 can keep fasting in a month? I don't know. I cannot answer that question. It is not my expertise to talk about fasting and not fasting. So I apologize, I won't be answering that question. We talked about the routine. The other thing is exercise. So exercise is the least utilized antidepressant and anti-anxiety medication. You cannot imagine what exercise does to your body and to your brain and to your mental health. So it helps you with concentration, it helps you with attention, it helps in producing hormones and enzymes and neurotransmitters that just makes you feel good. So it helps you to produce these feel-good hormones that actually would make you feel good even if the environment is not supporting that. So therefore, exercise is crucial for children and adolescents. And exercise has to be spontaneous and throughout the day. So this is something that you should think about. Even if there is limitation in the environment around you, this is something that you can do, even if it's walking, if it's jumping, if it's doing chores, if it's biking. I think one of the things that I actually benefited myself is that because there is the curfew and not a lot of cars, so we can bike in the street a little bit safer and we're not worried about it. And was a good thing because, you know, at least we're doing a little bit more exercise that we can, because as you can imagine with the school closure, there's not a lot of exercise, you know, just the kids going from one class to the other from the cafeteria. And now, unfortunately, they are just going from one bedroom to the living room. That's not enough exercise for children. And the third thing is sleep. And again, sleep is the least utilized anti-anxiety and anti-depression medication, because sleep for children, it's not just for brain to relax, it's actually where your brain grow. And therefore the sleep changes, the quality of sleep changes depending on your age. So when you're younger, you have different sleep phases than when you're a teenager, because your brain is trying to build these building blocks of your brain to help you adapt to your environment. So when you're younger, you're getting more exposure, so you're basically getting that deep sleep, and that deep sleep will help you to add all of these knowledge that you're getting. Just add it, you know, think of it as a clay, and you're just adding some clay. And then when you get into teenage, this is actually when your REM sleep starts, and that's where the creativity. And now we try to shape that brain in a way that will actually help us navigate our environment and our future and make us more adaptable to becoming adults. So again, sleep is not a joke, to be honest. Yeah, sleep is something that you really have to take seriously in children and adolescents. You have to be very careful that they are getting not just the enough sleep time, but also the enough quality of sleep, a good quality of sleep, and the sleep in appropriate time, and setting a routine so they can't sleep every day at different times. Just the brain cannot function, the body cannot function that way. So you have to set some sort of a schedule that when they sleep every day at the same time and wake up at the same time, and their sleep is not disrupted and the sleep is not during the day, and their sleep is also of a good quality. So you cannot say the kids are sleeping, I can turn on the TV, and if they hear it, actually the noises will shift their sleep from one phase of sleep to another, and that will disrupt the quality of their sleep. So you really have to be careful about the sleep, that you're giving them the enough quantity, the good quality, and a good timing, and of course a routine for sleep. I think there is a question. Let me see the question that was there. My daughter is in grade 10. She feels overloaded because of new mode of education style. What is, yes, of course. I mean, I don't know what you mean by overloaded. Everybody is overwhelmed. And a lot of kids, especially at high school, are feeling overwhelmed and uncertain about what's going to happen. What you can do is to validate her feelings. So what we need to do with our children right now is not to underestimate their feelings and not to dismiss their feelings. And this is very important. When they are worried for a reason. It doesn't help when you tell them, you know, you shouldn't be worried, everything is going to be fine. What you need to do is to understand and validate their feelings, even if it's negative feelings, because what they need is for you to validate and listen to their feelings. So if she's feeling overwhelmed, acknowledge that she is feeling overwhelmed. You don't want to give her solution, because I know as parents, we tend to try to give our kids solution, but in reality, they are not looking for solutions. They can solve their own problems. What they are looking for is somebody to listen to them and to understand what they are going through. So I think when you feel that your children are overwhelmed, the first thing is not to dismiss their feelings, to understand it, to acknowledge that what they are going through is big, and they're having a natural response to an atypical situation or not a normal situation. And do not try to offer solutions, because as you know, and I'm sure you do, when you have teenagers, they are not looking for solutions. They are basically looking for somebody to validate their feelings. And then someone else is saying, I hope we can manage about the routine in Ramadan. Yes, I understand Ramadan is very disruptive for the routine, but of course, there's a lot of nice emotions and a lot of fun feelings and family feelings that makes Ramadan more spiritual. So I mean, even if there is a disruption in routine in Ramadan, because it's 1 month and it has a lot of emotional and spiritual value, I think that actually helps a lot. I think I don't have any more questions. So would you like me, because we're approaching 8, would it be okay? Do you want, hello?
That's fine, madam. Alhamdulillah, it was a very enriching experience, and we have learned a lot. Dr. Sika Al-Fazam.
Yes, Dr. Bibi, thank you so much for your talk. Actually, I was sharing this because, first of all, to let people know about Al-Manara, and that there is a place where people can go if they suspect that their kids have any issue in handling this difficult time, and also to learn what to do exactly, because we are all having stress, to be honest, because of the curfew and the lockdown. The kids, for example, my kids are refusing online. Sometimes they don't study, they skip days. This is all putting stress on myself and also on them. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Bibi. I really appreciate it.
And trust me, we're all in the same boat. We're all, one of the things we've learned about Corona is that we're all in the same boat. And we need to be acknowledging that this is very difficult for the children. It's just not normal. So my kids also are missing school. There is nothing I can do. I mean, I can't force them. I can't stable them to the chair. I just have to understand that, you know, this is a difficult time. And it is just beyond the brain capability to do what they are asking them to do. So we have to understand this and acknowledge this, and be validating and empathetic to their situation, because otherwise they will feel distant and they will feel more stressed, because they will feel that you don't understand them and you're not listening to them. There is one question, I don't know, what was it?
I don't think it's related. It's about vaccine.
Unfortunately, I've been contacted.
Again, okay, this question is apprehension about future, which we have limited understanding, but share your thought if you have something on it.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Well, let me tell you the last things is that, again, going back, you have to do routine. So try to set up a routine for your children. Try to get them do some exercise. Try to get them back into a sleep, quality, quantity, and timing, and a routine into the sleep. And also acknowledge their feelings. If they have negative feelings, please acknowledge them. Don't dismiss them. That's what they need from you. They don't want you to solve their problems. They want you to acknowledge their feelings. And as Dr. Sheikh has said, we are available. We are available every day at Al-Manara. You don't need a referral. If anything happens, just come. And you can have a session when you're just getting educated about, you know, how to deal with things, or whether you have concerns. Because, you know, you're the expert in your child. You know your child better than anyone. And you know that if something is not right, You're the one who knows, you know, it's not us, because you know your child better. And that's why I don't think, whenever you feel there is a change in your child and you feel this is a change that is concerning, you should always ask a professional. Thank you very, very much for the invitation. It was a pleasure. And I hope it was useful and helpful for all of you. And I'm hoping to meet all of you again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bibi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bibi Al-Ameri. One question from our mentor. He may be having a great wisdom on this. We would like to hear from him. Sir Ashok Garlapati, are you around?
Yes, Mr.
Sir,
Yes,
we are having honor to have Dr. Bibi Al-Ameri, an eminent psychiatrist who is giving a well-being of parents and children. If you have any question and query, we can share with you, sir.
Thank you, Safdar, and thank you, madam, for sharing your insights into the ongoing pandemic situation. Particularly, children are in the four walls, so we can understand their feelings. But you gave some real tips. I really liked those tips, that making a routine. Once you make a routine, people will really follow that. Most of the time, children doesn't like the routine, but as a parents, we need to make them to follow some routine. That's the real good tip you have given. Thank you for, for sharing your personal time with our Kuwait chapter members, and thank you, WISE team, for inviting you here as a subject matter expert. Thank you, Safdar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
Madam Bibi Al-Ameri, for your wonderful time and sharing that very pertinent question we all are facing with uncertainty related to COVID. We are really blessed and we made a wonderful evening. Thank you, Madam Dr. Sika Al-Fazam. Thank you, Madam Dr. Bibi Al-Ameri. I know your time is very precious, and if we don't have any questions, so we can relax, Dr. Al-Ameri. Ramana, can we have felicitation for Dr. Al-Ameri for giving a presentation? Yeah.
Yes, sure.
As a token of appreciation, usually we give honor to the presenter. Unfortunately, we are making you online. So this certificate will be sent through email. Please accept a small token of appreciation for your presentation today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And please, you can contact me at any time if you have any further questions. I'll be happy.
Our pleasure. It's our pleasure. Inshallah, we will see you in the future. And being a part of WISE, we will be in touch with you most of the time. And Dr. Sika Al-Fazam will be definitely trying to rope you in. Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Sika Al-Fazam, we can continue the remaining part of this.
Yeah, Siddharji, can you give me a minute?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah, good evening all. I'm going to post a link which it will take you to have a participation certificate. Those who have attended can click on the link, and there are only two or three questions are there, which I have taken from WHO, World Health Organization, related to COVID-19. Just click on that, and after finishing that, you will get a participation certificate automatically in your inbox. But not today. We will scrutinize the answers, and because some mismatching data are being entered by the participants, so we are going to check that one, and we'll send the participant certificate soon, as soon as possible. Thank you. Thank you, Shabdaji, and thank you, Ma'am Shilpa.
Okay, all participants, please participate with the link so we can get a participation certificate. Alhamdulillah, we are very managed with time, and it was a very enriching experience going through the question and answer session. Now it's time to invite Madam Jahida Farooq. Hello. Yes, madam.
Oh, yeah, can you? Yeah.
Yeah, before we go to closing remark, any announcement is there to make it from WISE team? If it is not there, we will keep posted through our WhatsApp message and through the email info@kuwait.asp.org. Please add WhatsApp number for our chapter 50941075. Once you add this number, only you get notification. The number is 50941075. Okay, Ramana, any other announcement we wanted to add? If not, then I will leave this floor for Madam Jahida Farooq for giving a closing remark.
We'll go for group picture.
Group picture. Please, everyone open their camera for group picture, and then there will be closing remarks from Madam Jahida Farooq. All participants, please open your camera. So it will be a remembrance and encouragement for other people to those who are having digital display facility, please open their camera. Yes, Ramaji, you have green signal to go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. Done.
Okay. Now, any other thing you wanted to add before I leave it to floor for Madam Jahida Farooq?
Okay, you can talk about the GCC Excellence Award. Do you want me to share some slides on that? Where is that?
Okay, take only 3-4 minutes, and before we will give to Madam Jahida Farooq. As you are aware that we have announced ASSP GCC HSC Excellence Award for 2021. This is for all private sector company to participate and showcase their HSC management system in various categories. So please spread a word to your company management or your subcontractor where you are working. So last date to receive the application is April 30. April 30, and all details related with these awards are also available on our portal kuwait.assp.org. You are encouraged to visit this. There are download forms are there. You can glance it. What are various different requirements are there? Okay, if you wanted to participate in only one category, you can have a look on this. So basically there are 6 different categories are there. Depending on your company preparedness and willingness, you can participate. It will definitely a moral booster and showcasing of your HSC system and your effort in your company. It is definitely bringing a very good name to you. So avail this opportunity. If Ramana can bring that a teaser, that will well and good. You can also see that the past performer, yes, it is already there now. Only will take 3-4 minutes on this. This is a brochure we were talking about, ASSP GCC Excellence Award. You perform, we recognize. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Sabdarji. There is some
So
issue with
the theme
presentation.
title is there. You perform, we recognize. Okay.
Yeah,
So
someone raised their hand.
we'll see that what is the question. Sorry, Madam Jahida Farooq, I'm just taking few questions before we are still having time. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
sure.
Abdul Wahab, Abdul Wafa. Any question from your end, sir?
No, we have an issue with the mic. I think audio is not working.
Am I audible to all of you?
Yeah. His mic I'm talking about. Those who raised
Okay,
his
that's
hand.
fine. Okay. So you all are encouraged to visit our site for more detail on this, kuwait.assp.org. And you will be seeing that what this award encompasses. You perform, we recognize it. And about what we are running, like different webinars, different technical session, all recorded version, and many activity are there. Like here, last day of submission, I was saying you 30 of April, and declaration of result will be May 30, and award ceremony, which will be mostly on the virtual ceremony, it will be held. It will be on June 20, 2021. So kindly avail this opportunity, have a look on this. It will give you a fresh idea on this. So we request all of this participants to spread a word about it. Thank you, Ramana, for sharing this. Now I will leave this floor to Madam Jahida Farooqi for her closing remarks. Madam Jahida Farooqi.
Hi. Hello.
Yes, madam, you can hear you well.
Assalamu alaikum. Our respected chairman, president, and the president of ASSP Kuwait chapter, and our speaker, Dr. Bibi Al-Amiri, and our esteemed guest, a sweet evening to all of you from Zahida Farooq, member of Vice Committee. It's my honor to present the vote of thanks. Here, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to Dr. Bibi Al-Amiri for the wonderful webinar and the beneficial explanation about the current situation which we are facing in our daily life right now. Being a mother of 2 children, I really impressed like how amazing and helpful her advices in terms of children. So thank you so much, doctor. Then I also extend my sincere thanks to Ms. Sadi for the wonderful HSC moment. Thank you, Sadi. Then I would like to convey my sincere thanks to our head of Vice Committee, Dr. Shekha, our committee members, Janet and Dr. Al-Anood. Also, I would like to convey my thanks to Kuwait chapter EC members, Mr. Shabdar Ali Khan, Mr. Ramana, and all of them for your kind support. Thank you once again. Have a safe and healthy day ahead. Inshallah, we will see the Ramadan will be the safe and healthy Ramadan. Ramadan Kareem to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Jahida Farooqi. Alhamdulillah, Jahida Farooq. Thank you very much. And thank you for all of your effort bringing such a eminent speaker, which is rightly need of ours to have our query